Hi, this time I wanted to talk about how to identify, or rather tell apart, role players from storytellers. There is this error in the tabletop role playing games hobby that a role player is the same thing as a storyteller, but this is completely moronic and erroneous. You are not telling a story about the characters, you are living the experience. You are not saying, Bob jumped against the dragon and wielded his sword, he scored a hit, he slashed the dragon across the face, and then he stepped back while yelling, No. I jumped towards the dragon, cutting diagonally downwards with my sword. Then you make your roll to see if you score a hit, and then based on that, the game master will describe the effect of the cutting of the sword upon the enemy, and you can describe what your character does after that. I land and assume a battle stance immediately. Things like that, back and forth, description. Storytellers in tabletop role-playing games, if they are not erroneously informed about how to actually roleplay, they're actually they have this fixation of controlling everything. They want to control in the case of a game master, they want to control the actions of the player characters, which is absolutely erroneous. It is outside of the area of the game master. He only has control over the non-player characters and the game world. And when it comes to the players, they need to stick to controlling their player characters' actions. They have no control whatsoever over the game world or over non-player characters or other player characters. They have no control over those elements. Unless they are employing some sort of mind control spell. Unless they are using some sort of game mechanic, which is usually limited in order to stop players abusing that mechanic. If you want to introduce an element to the encounter, to the scenery, to whatever, then you employ this sort of like a Benny or card, or depending on the system, depending on the resource being employed according to your RPG of choice, then you can modify something. But this is not a story. You are not telling a story about someone. And here is the crucial point in order to identify or to tell the difference between a storyteller and a role player. Discovery. The role player is always constantly discovering things about the game world and even the player character himself or herself. As a role player, you are discovering things through your actions. There are many uncertain things, and that's when you roll dice to determine the outcome, to see what you perceive, to see what you can hear, to see if you manage to score a hit, to see about anything. You're going to be discovering so many things. Sometimes you even get automatic successes or failures depending on the context, on the situation. And the game master should encourage the discovery of the players. He shouldn't take control or command of the player characters and manipulate them as if they were toys. This is role-playing. This is not telling a story. This is not a theater play. This is not a movie. This is not a comic book. This is not a radio show. You are discovering things constantly through roleplay. Even if you are trying to represent different tropes that you would see in comic books, in movies, the wonderful thing about all of those passive forms of entertainment that are very different from active forms of entertainment, just like role-playing games, is that in those passive forms, you cannot modify things. You are just a spectator or a listener or a reader. But you can take those tropes and actually do something wonderful that can only be accomplished through role-playing. You can take those tropes and actually transform them into active tools without taking control of the game world or the non-player characters or the other player characters in the case of the player. or in the case of the game master, without taking control of the player characters. And that's how both the game master and the players discover things through roleplay, because they cannot predict what the game master or the players, through the player characters, the non-player characters, the game world, what they are going to bring to the session. So definitely consider that. I think that only in very pathological cases where the person has some sort of fetish to control everything and everyone, I think you will understand these concepts perfectly. And remember, it is possible to sometimes alter the game world or alter the player characters through spells, madness, mind control, game mechanic, resources, meta currencies, and whatnot. But that's why there is a limit to what you can accomplish through those factors, because otherwise you are not role-playing. You are no longer playing a role. You are telling a story. So I hope this difference between role-playing and storytelling, or role-player and storyteller, I hope these differences become quite clear. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any comments or questions, please let me know. And thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. And remember, roleplay solves everything. Once again, thank you and see you later.